Hello and welcome to Mike Talks Business. I'm Mike Jennings and I'll be talking all things business with various guests, highlighting passion and excitement and also discussing anxieties and risks that come with the business journey. Today, I'm delighted to be able to introduce Rick Mower, who not only is a good friend, but also runs the amazing RAW. He is here to tell us all about it. Welcome, Rick.
Morning, Mike.
It's a great pleasure to have you here today, Rick. It's been a while since we've chatted, but we've known each other for quite a long time.
We have.
And I'm delighted that you've agreed to come along and talk to me today.
Thank you for asking me.
Can you start, Rick, please, by perhaps telling us a little bit about yourself and why you got involved with RAW?
So I'm Oxford born and bred. Ended up in London, working in advertising agencies, had my own agency. Became kind of increasingly unhappy, really, kind of the more successful I got. And about 10 years ago, no, more than that, about 15 years ago now, I kind of wanted to work with people. I didn't particularly want to work in charities such for various reasons. So I came to Oxford, started with Aspire, grew that, and we founded RAW about 5 years ago, just short of 5 years ago now. We're very much kind of a social business ethic about how we behave and how we work.
And what does RAW actually do? I know, but can you explain to me?
Yeah, so RAW is, we have various businesses. So we have a very large manufacturing operation doing mainly furniture, indoor and outdoor furniture for large corporate clients and private individuals. We've got a grounds maintenance company, several hundred properties now, coming up to almost 150 properties actually under our look afterness. We have a recycling company and we have a retail outlet. And part of what we do, along with the main stuff we do, is we also support and fund a young person's project called Raw Potential, where we work with young people who perhaps are, finding things a bit tricky. But we trade like a normal business. We even though we're a charity by status, we're here to show how good people can be.
Wow, I didn't realise you were doing so many things, Rick. The last time we spoke, I met you at the workshop in East Oxford, and it was recycling wood, producing amazing products for your gardens and your offices. But it's changed quite a lot.
Yeah, I think when we started, it was always about I think quite different sort of traditional kind of charity approach. We want to be a brand in the space where we make stuff that other companies make, but we have the added social value of we have lots of sustainability credentials. 3/4 of our staff come from backgrounds that might be different to yours and mine. So typically they would have been through addiction, mental health issues, offending behavior, all that kind of stuff. Just life didn't work out the same as everybody else's, but we're the best workforce we can have.
Yeah, it's and how many people work with you now?
We've got staff 28 now. And that's growing. We're recruiting at the moment, so we're getting bigger and bigger. I mean, the world has changed a lot. Where a lot of consumers and also companies really want to purchase with social value built in if they can. It's interesting for us. We're growing because we, say one of our large furniture clients at the moment, which has come online, a big corporate. We basically match their prices from China. In fact, actually, we're about 10% more than their prices from China. But the amount we save in carbon in shipping, the amount we save in transport costs, the amount that we create in social value makes us more competitive. So yeah, as we grow, we recruit more people.
I remember you said that when last time we met, some couple of years ago, the importance of the social value and how that's going to become more and more important as time goes on. And we're finding that the councils and for example, bureaucracies and the larger corporates have to show some kind of social intent or social impact in what they do, and part of that is purchasing. So you are offering a product, the wood product, which they can do that. But presumably there's things beyond the wood. Then you're providing services for grounds maintenance and so on. That's quite a bit different than recycling the wood. That's a new venture from.
Yeah, is it? It's quite different in terms of discipline, but actually in terms of your client base. Let's say it's corporate, it's buying it needs furniture, it needs recycling, and it's probably got grounds. So in terms of logical business growth, it kind of fitted with us. Yeah. But also for us, it gave another set of skills and training and being outdoors to people who perhaps want that instead, so it fits really well with our growth patterns. And just going back to what you said, Mike, about the social value, if I can, yeah, absolutely, corporates and people want social value, but now it's really changing. So we're hearing that contracts now, big contracts going out, have up to 20% of the marks in the contract awarded to social value. So it's actually no longer just nice to have, it's actually becoming really important. The government's latest green paper, because now we're out of OJU and out of Europe, their key parameters, for contract awards is number one, social value, and number two, cost. But number two, cost, with the brackets, not excluding social value.
Yeah.
So they're seeing value as a figure on stuff now, and that's really going to drive massive change. Massive change.
Do they take into account the environmental value as well?
Yeah, environmental value, everything's really being counted seriously now.
Because it was always
when it's geared towards people making money and winning contracts, that's when you see change really happen.
Yeah, definitely. Because it was, I mean, for years and years we've had these arguments with the local authorities where they've always said best value is the moniker, and best value always meant cheapest. Well, not always, but it appeared to be. And so local businesses were losing out in terms of contracting or supplying local organisations to the large corporates, sometimes from abroad, who were able to offer a cheaper price, at least initially. So that's really interesting that it's changing so dramatically. Actually,
it's radically changing. So businesses like ours, so even though we're a charity by status, and we support and train people who perhaps wouldn't get past a first stage interview with a normal company for whatever reason, we are actually almost without being cocky, but almost leapfrogging. So we've got that stuff that kind of puts us ahead. So if you can do the stuff of the business, if you can run the business well, if you make the products well at the right price, we've got a USP that's pretty valuable. And we're seeing that now. We're about to launch more of a consultative business. So we're doing some consulting with Grosvenor Estates, which is a big landowner, around how do they manifest that in their products and services and their development. So yeah, it's really exciting time for businesses like ours, or social business as we call it.
I was going to say, because one of the questions I wanted to ask you is RAW is it a charity or is it a business? You describe it as a charity, but I'm guessing you don't get charitable donations. Your income comes from enterprise. Yeah, so
we are currently a charity, and we're looking at we'll probably be looking at a few things in the next 12 months about how we're structured. We will always have a charity element, especially for the young people projects we're running. But yeah, majority, a lot of our funding now comes from trading. And since we started, it's grown and grown and grown. So I think we're at a point now where, we're just like another business, really. And I think we've always seen it as, we kind of see ourselves as not being remarkable. We just think it's kind of how business should behave. Because if business has scale, and business can change things at scale.
But it's almost around the other way, isn't it? In the sense that you're saying this is how we want to operate. This is what we want to do. And oh, by the way, we can sell this stuff, and we can, and it becomes a business, almost not by accident, but almost incidentally.
Well, kind of. I mean, we always, from my advertising world, my background, when I left advertising, all the brands I was working with saying, "Oh, we want emotional brand value, we want to resonate with consumers, and all this kind of stuff, and we want to be more environmentally aware of stuff." And they were kind of almost presenting it rather than doing it. So. But the whole thing around RAW for me has always been this. I have this real, from my experiences and experience of people close to me, that when people have been through difficulty or life challenges, it might start in childhood. So they might have been addicted, they might have taken drugs, might go involved with crime, might have mental health issues, might be on the streets, whatever it is. When they survive those things and come through those things, it used to really annoy me that people would call them disadvantaged.
Yeah.
Now, in many ways, socially they are, but actually, they are the most remarkable people I've ever met. To survive that stuff is tough. Giving up crack is harder than doing an MBA, And I think that some of what the problem is they're never able to realize that really overtly. And it was always a bit like, well, just see if you can get to be normal, see if you can. Which doesn't really inspire. So at RAW, it's all about be exceptional, be the best. We're going to show people, not by me talking or, or somebody doing a nice presentation, we're going to show you through our products and services, you are wrong about us. And that creates a very big sense of tribe and unity and a culture which you can't really you can't do in an HR session.
It must be a joy to go to work every day, Rick.
Yeah, man, it is.
Yeah.
It really, really is. And it's I'm very lucky, very, very lucky. I've got some amazing people around me, and RAW itself is, it's become this almost its own kind of thing. So quite, through no kind of real kind of program or diversity inclusion program, our two out of three of our leaders, our senior leaders, are women under 30.
Yeah.
It seems to have that kind of environment where people can really blossom.
I've always recognised a sort of a sense of sameness in what I do in my business to some extent. I mean, you've taken it at a level much further than me, but the sense that people who join my company have often come along with a sense of I'm only good to be, say, receptionist.
Yeah.
And it's almost as though they've been pushed into that segment of saying this is what you can do, this is what you will do, and this is what you will do for the rest of your life. And it's so limiting on people generally that they think that their whole life revolves around one particular job and that's all they're ever going to do. And so what I've always tried to do is help them to think beyond that, which obviously is what you've just been talking about. To think, I can do more if only I push myself. And it's this sense of giving people the opportunity. So we have a principle at Jennings, which is called opportunities, not roles. So we don't take people on for a role. We take them on for an opportunity to develop themselves and become, improve their sense of self-worth. Yeah. And their ability to do more than they ever thought they could. But in doing that, of course, every little additional thing that you ask them to do is a challenge. And some people shirk from challenges. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want to take the risk. So you can only present the opportunity. And if they take it, help them and support them through it. And then once they've achieved what you've asked them to do, their sense of pride, sense of achievement, it raises them. You must have seen this in your organization. There's a kind of lifting of the spirit bit by bit, day by day, which overall counts to something amazing. And the morale of the team just rises and rises and rises because of it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think I remember, meeting you probably 12, 13 years ago now, and you were saying the same things then. So just a quick note to actually, you're true to your word. And it starts with the belief, all this stuff starts with the belief.
Yeah.
And not a need. You've got to believe that this is right. And you're absolutely right. So yes, absolutely. We've had people start in roles, where they're perhaps just, not that particularly challenged, where they feel comfortable. So someone has to feel comfortable first, and now they're running parts of the business. So it's really important that you give people the freedom to express themselves and shine, but also that freedom to fail, saying, look, give it a go. I've got your back.
Exactly.
Exactly. And don't expect it to be linear, because people will. Fear of failure is for all of us, because we're mammals, right? We're chimps. Yeah. The fear of going out and hunting and not finding food, or the fear of not getting nuts from the tree. You'll stay at the same tree because it's safe. The nuts on the other tree might be nicer, but you need someone to be with you and say, okay, look, it didn't work out. I'll get the nuts.
Yeah.
And I think there's something very, very simplistic about us as all as humans, and to know someone's got your back and is giving you air cover then you can fly, right?
And that, to me, that's leadership in a nutshell, as opposed to management, where management is about controlling. You do this and you do it in this way, and make sure you do it exactly as I say. Whereas leadership is have a go, get on with it, and I've got your back.
Yeah, exactly. I was saying to somebody the other day that my job is, as much of is really just to look after people, make them happy.
Yeah.
That's my function, right? Because if we've got the right people, we're going to do well, because we've got a good product, good services. We're in a market where social value trumps lots of stuff now. So it's all about people, about people. I didn't really want to say that, but it is. And when you've got people who've been through really, really tough stuff, apply that same resilience to a business, you get to a good place.
And it brings me on to a topic I was going to talk to you about, which is the idea of flipping what employment is about. In most businesses, people are taken on in order to do a job, and in order to make profit for the business. But in what you're talking about is the business has been all set up, the charity business has been set up in order to help people thrive. So it's round the other way, and I think that this is how businesses generally could be. You know, it could be. Sorry, my phone just went. It could be that we can organise ourselves in such a way that we can be focused first and foremost on the people, and by pulling that together, you create a good tribe of people working together, and then from that the business can start to thrive, and then the profit becomes an outcome rather than an objective. But really, it's about treating people right, which is the objective.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, it is the objective, but I think also it's about changes conversation around disadvantage. I want people to see our products or services, or some of the big corporate buyers, like be it UHS or one of the big coffee chains who we're talking to. Lots of big companies buy our stuff, and we never go out there and sort of really overtly say, oh, it's been really difficult for our people. It's actually people go, that's a really good product. That office desk is brilliant. That meeting table is brilliant. I love it. Or that outdoor phone is brilliant. Whether they then discover that's been made by somebody who had a 20-year crack addiction, whether it's somebody who's been on the street, doesn't matter. They'll discover that at some point, but it's about value, and it's about showing that people can be great. And as an employer, I would seriously, rather than just doing it because it's the right thing to do, people who've been through dysfunction, who've come out of prison, all those sort of things, they can be the best employer. And in fact, some of them are the best employees I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
And so it's a genuine value choice, and I think, and also, it's actually about having a bit of kind of flexibility and brave about how your organization shapes and feels. Let the people shape and feel it, and don't be afraid of the wonky edges.
Yeah, quite. There'll always be wonky edges. There'll always be.
Got to have a wonky edge. Got to have a wonky edge.
I guess a lot of it is when you said it starts with faith. I 100% agree with that. When you have faith in people, it means then that you can trust your people, and people don't. Often people live a life where they've never been trusted, and to know that someone, their boss, effectively, is going out there and saying, I have faith in you, I believe in you, you can do this, and I've got your back if you fail. All those things add up to such a huge, I don't know what the right word is. It helps to bring people out, and so they will want to do the best they can, and then of course that's what helps them to grow. Yeah,
exactly. You know what? We're a tribal bunch of animals, and I think if you look at the essence of what a tribe is, the real sense of tribe, you look at how people, yes, they fall out, yes, things go wrong, yes, all these things can happen, but actually the tribe will always unite around itself, and within the tribe you're safe as long as you don't break certain taboos and certain rules, and the tribe will grow and have more food and be successful in its independence.
I guess what I'm trying to say, Rick, is that your model is one that other businesses could emulate to some extent in terms of the way we treat people. And over the last 20 or more years, I've listened to various people stand up and talk about sustainability. They talk about economic sustainability or financial sustainability. They talk about environmental sustainability, and they talk about social sustainability. And I've heard speeches where the person giving the speech can talk eloquently on financial and environmental sustainability, but hadn't got a clue about social sustainability. And what we're talking about here is part and parcel of what do you mean by social sustainability? And what we'll be talking about is looking after your people, doing the best you can for your people, not in terms of how much you pay them or whether you give them a pension fund or anything, or giving them time off, but in terms of how you treat them with respect and want the best for them. through the medium of an organisation, a business. And that is happening. I see that happening in teams all over the place, but it's stifled by the corporate methodology, I think, or the bureaucratic methodology. And so you have these enterprising people, and enterprising people not just running businesses like yourself and me, but enterprising people who might run a team in a bureaucracy can be like that as well. And it gives opportunity to their people to do really well. And you the outcomes can be amazing. And I've heard many stories of where this has happened in large companies and large bureaucracies, but it can easily get stifled. But it seems to me that that's not what social is all about, because social is also about linking in with your community, working with the community, which I know you do as well. And so it's a wider nature. It's the emphasis on people. It's about people, really.
It is. It is about people. There's also, it's also, like you said, the community. And I kind of sometimes shy away from the word communities. I think it has some connotations which aren't good. People it's quite a lazy kind of way sometimes of describing community, a bit of a community something. Actually, communities are more like a tribe. So we're a business in the east of Oxford. We employ people from the east of Oxford or around Oxfordshire, but a lot of them live around that area. We know children, young people in that area are victims of criminal child exploitation. We know that some of those children have mental health issues. We know that some of those children aren't doing so well at school. So why wouldn't we have an organisation within our business that supports children in the area? Because that makes the community better, right? Yeah. It's different to giving some money for a playground or for sponsoring a football team. It's very different. And hopefully, maybe those kids will come and work for us one day. If you look at the whole of where you are, where can you actually make a difference? And where do you put some of your surplus? Where do you put some of your fundraising effort? And I think it seems like a sensible thing to do.
I love that roundedness. I remember going to a community centre in India. It was a campus, and it was set up by an organisation called the Periyar organisation in South India. And it started off with they took in babies who had no parents, as orphans, so, an orphanage, and they started off as babies, and then they set up a primary school, or nursery first, then a primary school, and then they added to it a secondary school, and the kids went from one to the next, and then they had a university there where they focused on pharmaceuticals, and they also had an old people's home, and the kids would go obviously through the steps, and they wouldn't necessarily all stay, but some of them went on to become pharmacists and then ended up prescribing the old people. The old people in the old people's home were out and about doing all the gardening, and the kids would come out and talk to them, and you had this real sense of community in a whole spectrum of society, all in this huge walled area. It was wonderful to see.
And I think that's when you describe it like that, it's logical.
It's logical. Yes.
It's logical. So that's what we're doing. So we now have a trained mental health worker, children's mental health worker on site. Working with kids, but also they do work experience, they do skills training. So the logical next step for us is to launch some form of education, which without going into much detail, that might happen. So imagine you came to us, things aren't great. You can do your basic English and maths. You can get skills and training. You can do some work experience on our team. If you like working for our team, you can come and work for us. And you have this linear kind of opportunity. And I think you're absolutely right, Mike, when you say, well, that's really obvious, right? What stops it? Corporate control. How does the corporate control that? How do you measure that? How do shareholders value that?
Yeah.
And I think for lots of businesses, and as you say, people within teams, so you have to start a new business, you'd be within a team, a big organization. It is a bit of, right, forget that. Let's be a bit more pirate about it. Let's run our colors up the mast, and we're going to do it this way because it's the right way to do it. Let's try it.
Yes.
And I think that's, and also that's fun. It's really good.
Absolutely, it's fun. It's almost sticking up two fingers up to convention, isn't it? And saying we're going to do it this way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the whole thing about RAW was always about. So we're going to show you. We think we can do it, and we've proved we can do it, and it's going really well. So we've got really big customers. We generate 14,000 hours of social impact. We saved 120,000 kilograms of carbon emission last year. We recycled nearly 800 tons of wood. All that stuff is a consequence of how we do business. We don't set out to do that. That's not our primary goal.
Yeah.
Our primary goal is to run a really good business that competes and scares the Jesus out of existing suppliers. And that's our consequence. And I think that's a very different way of operating.
Yeah, so it's not about profit. It's about what you do with the profit.
Yeah, the more profit we make, the more people we employ, the more children we support. It's like, what's wrong with that?
Exactly. The more
people who came out of prison or from the streets or from crack, who can have a X amount pay rise next year. What's wrong with that?
No, nothing. Absolutely. Spot
Sorry,
on.
I wasn't saying she did, but there was this kind of, well, you do good and you make a profit. Yes, you don't do any good and you make a profit. What's that about?
But it's also it's changing the model for charities as well, isn't it? Because there are so many charities that I've come across who are muddled by the fact that the charitable donations have been dropping over the last few years. And what do? They struggle and they start blaming. And what you're doing is completely undercuts all that and says, no, forget all that. We're doing it differently.
Yeah. Look, I mean, 5 years when we started, we had quite a lot of charitable support and funding, but we always said to our people who are funding us, we said, this is seed funding. We're not going to come back to you for this. We need this for this project, which will go this far. So it's almost like a type of investment. And we still raise funds, for various projects and that kind of stuff, which is fine. And I think, part of the reason that we wanted to get out of, if you don't know where your income's coming from, it's very hard to run a business. So you need to have your trading going, and it's a bit more controlled. I think also there are so many, especially in Oxford, really good small charities where people like us and other big charities should get the hell out of the way and let them go for the fundraising markets to the left.
Yeah.
Those of us who can should not be going, we should. You're just making it possible for smaller charities to make a real difference. And also I think there's a big thing going. A lot of charities, from a brand point of view, kind of go, we haven't got any money, and with this and with that. Emotional brand value, they've got more than most big companies. So how would you change that into a product or service? Why aren't homeless charities offering a home insurance product? Why not? 10% of all the premiums go to homeless shelters. Obvious.
Rick,
I mean, that's the sort of thing that
we could talk forever, you and me.
Sorry, Mike.
I just wanted to, we got to leave shortly, unfortunately. I'm sure you'll be invited back to one of our other TV shows on B4. But I wanted to ask you just briefly, really, what's your thoughts on the future for the next 5 to 10 years for RAW?
We're gonna get bigger and do more things. I think that's it. We've always started as a brand. There's a space in the market for a brand that can do different things in the right way with the right social value, and the time is now, post-COVID, post-Brexit.
So the same brand, but just do more of the same, basically. You're not going to change the spelling to ROAR, are you?
I don't know. Well, I might do. No, I don't think so. I don't either. But if Virgin did it, didn't they? Went from records to airlines. So why can't businesses like ours do that? Why can't social businesses or charities do that?
Rick, it's been a great pleasure, as always, talking with you, shooting the breeze. Thank you very much for coming on the show, and good luck with the future for RAW. And when I can, I'll pop round and see you over at
Thanks so much for asking, Mike. It's lovely to see you again. Thank you so much.
Lovely to see you too. Okay, well, that's Rick from the RAW, based in East Oxford. And if you're looking for any office furniture or any furniture for your garden, and I'm sure they do other stuff as well, get in contact. Amazing stuff going on there. Thanks everyone for listening to this show. This is the first of a series of Mike Talks Business, and I have guests in business coming up, which I'm looking forward to. The next person is a heating engineer who works on his own, and he's going to be talking about taking on the first employee. So hopefully you'll come back for that, and see you all soon. Goodbye. Thank you.